This is Cromar with TGN, welcoming you to another World of Warcraft Cataclysm beta video. This is part 11 of the 22-part series DPS rundown, and today we are covering the Affliction Warlock. Okay, let's take a look at the talent selection. I know what you're going to first notice is my talent selection in Destruction, so I'll talk about that first. I did put my 10 extra points here. Obviously, I got the faster Shadow Bolt and the improved Shadow Bolt here, but my other choices might be seem a little strange at first, but I promise you, I'm going to show you in the rotation. This makes sense. I got the Soulfire talents, faster Soulfire, and the Spell Haste for all your other spells after you deal damage with Soulfire. And you'll see in the rotation how effective this actually is. There's really nothing else to get in Demonology. The funny thing is the Succubus is actually more powerful than the Imp, so I spec'd out a Dark Arts, and I'm just going to use the Succubus full time. It is unfortunate to not have Mana Feed, which is a great talent, but I think that the extra damage I get from this is totally worth it, and you will see that. So for the talents in the Affliction tree, I've taken a lot of the really obvious DPS talents, which is most of the tree. Now, I wasn't able to pick up Curse of Exhaustion or Improved Howl of Terror. These are both very good talents. It's possible to get them. You could drop Siphon Life. I decided to keep that to help the healers out. There's maybe a couple other things you could drop. Maybe Pandemic. I don't know. That's questionable. But I would definitely keep most of these talents. I would even keep Jinx. I mean, this is just wonderful for ads. For glyphs, surprisingly, there's actually a lot of good choices here, which is really unusual for glyphs. Now, two of them are easy. Duration on Bane of Agony to make that easier to use, and bonus damage granted by Haunt is increased because Haunt has got to be on the target all the time. Then for my third glyph, I've got Glyph of Lash of Pain to go along with the fact that I'm using the Succubus. You could get the Glyph of Imp, but again, even with the Glyph and Dark Arts, the Imp is still weaker than the Glyph Succubus. The other option in Prime Glyphs is Glyph of Unstable Affliction, which just makes your Affliction cast slightly faster. This is a pretty attractive one, but these actually increase your DPS by a lot more. If you were to put Unstable Affliction, you could replace Bane of Agony. I guess that's acceptable. Now for your major glyphs, this is where it's really surprising. There's actually a lot of good ones. The first one you absolutely want to have is your Glyph of Fear, which is just a must-have for instances. This turns your fear into a real, honest-to-God crowd control, better than Polymorph. So this is something you absolutely want to have. Glyph of Life Tap. You will be spamming Life Tap a lot in while doing PvE DPS because you will be draining your mana pretty darn quick. So this is a must-have. And the last one that I chose was Seduction, simply because it allows you to use the Succubus's marginal crowd control a little bit easier in emergency situations. This is just for emergencies. But there's so many other great ones here too. I mean, Health Stone, your healers will appreciate that. And cheaper Shadow Bolts just means less life taps, although you won't use it that often. Shadow Flame, the slow, I mean this is mainly PvP, but it's great for ad control as well. Soul Link for durability, that's another nice one. Soul Swap for allows you to spread your dots around a lot faster to ads. I mean it's a little awkward to use, but if you practice with it, it's actually pretty powerful. So all of these are actually really good. You've got a lot of options. So these are the ones I went with. The Fear one is the only one I think is a must-have. The other two are optional. For your minor glyphs, it's back to your normal garbage. Just take whatever you want. It doesn't matter. I want to show off this little add-on I have here. It's called DoTimer. When you put a dot on the target, it actually puts up just a timer to help you keep track of it. And it also works for self buffs, including my improved Soulfire. And it's actually very useful, and you can set it up for any buff, but I only use it for improved Soulfire and my other dots. So I'm going to start using this for other classes as well. It's going to be actually pretty helpful. So for the rotation, we're going to get the Succubus on defensive. We're going to open with a Soulfire. Then immediately start with your instant cast dots. And then your cast bar spells, of course. And hit Drain Life. Gotta get a Shadow Bolt in there for improved Shadow Bolt. Now, as you can see that the add-on's telling you what's about to run out, so you gotta treat it as like a triage situation. If a dot's about to run out, refresh it. Keep in mind that your corruption does not need to be refreshed. I'm gonna refresh the Unstable Affliction early. Now, I'm hitting my Shadow Bolt a little bit early. But when I do the real test, I am going to be a little more careful with that. It's also really nice when you get a handy Nightfall proc to keep your improved Shadow Bolt going. So that's it, managing your dots, managing haunt, making sure that's on there, punctuating with drain life whenever you can. And it's actually pretty impressive damage. So let's go ahead and get wait for the dots to drop off, get my pet ready, and clear out Recount. We'll do the real test here. Okay, let's stop it right there. As I stopped attacking, I was about 7250, so we'll just go ahead and keep that in mind. 7250 was the DPS. So, very nice result. Let me clear this junk off my screen here. I pretty much just went until my Curse of Elements ran out, and it's about 2.4 million. That's what I want to be, and that's after some of the dots ticked off too, so it was a little bit lower than that, but that's okay. Anyway, so how did our damage wind up? Of course, our main dots, Corruption, Stable Affliction, Drain Life, and Bane of Agony were on top. I have tested with Bane of Doom instead of Bane of Agony, and Bane of Agony is stronger. I've also tested without Soulfire, I've tested with Shadow Bolt Spam, I've tested with hitting Demon Soul and doing Shadow Bolt Spam, and none of those compare to the Drain Life Soulfire combination. By the way, when you're trying to manage dots like this, hit is like the most important thing ever, because it gets really frustrating, especially with Haunt, because Haunt has a cooldown, which is just totally unnecessary. They need to remove that. But whenever Haunt misses, that just means that you're going to miss out for like 8 seconds or whatever it is. Yeah, that means that's 8 seconds you're not going to have the Haunt debuff on the target. Very annoying. Another variation I tried was using Fell Flames to keep your Unstable Affliction up. The problem is, it does take about 2.5 Fell Flames for each Unstable Affliction, which was wasting a lot of time. And that extra time translates to Drain Life ticks. And that Drain Life tick actually makes up for the Fell Flame. If you're wondering why you would use Fell Flame, I think it's for motion fights. It's so you can keep Corruption, Bane of Agony, and Unstable Affliction up while moving. So if you're like doing Row Hash and Conclave of Wind or something like that, or if you're like kiting an ad or something crazy like that, then you can still keep Unstable Affliction going. At least that's my theory. Oh, and I forgot to mention how to use Soul Shards. I save all my Soul Shards for instant Soul Fires, just in case, because the thing is, you should be timing your Soul Fires to cast them before the buff drops off, but if you don't, then it's gonna take a long time to cast that Soul Fire, so that's when I hit my instant. In other words, I use it as a crutch for times when I mess up. You could use your Soul Shards for Drain Life, and you get a little bit of extra life for the extra damage, but you can only use it 3 times, so the extra damage you get isn't really worth it. I'd rather use it to save time on Soulfire. I also didn't use my minions, Doomguard and Infernal, because of 10-minute cooldowns, and it makes it a little difficult to test. You'd have to test the full 10 minutes to get the average damage over time. So just think of it as bonus damage on top of your normal DPS. My pet did an astounding 21%, so they really did buff Succubus, in case you were curious. That's pretty substantial. Okay, and I want to reiterate that the timer mod you see here, that's DoTimer. What's the name? There's your name right there, DoTimer, and it's on Curse. Now it's really complicated, and like just doing the setup and whatnot, all these menus, and I mean it took a while. It took a little bit to figure out, but if you do figure it out, it's worth it because it's very customizable. I mean, this look right here, I mean you can make it look totally different. You have a million different options. This is just what I wound up with. This would also probably be better paired with a better UI. I'm using the default UI. You probably want like Spartan or something like that, something that gives you a lot of extra room. And I don't know if they've updated for 4.0. I should check. But anyway, well, that's it for the Affliction Warlock. Thanks for watching. As always, please rate, please comment, and please subscribe.